Hi, I am Varun Joshi and welcome to day 6 of our Jenkins Basics to Production course. Today we will take the day 5 freestyle flow and refactor it into a clean Jenkins file. We will map stages, checkout, build, push, deploy, test, use environment variables and credentials safely, and add practical touches like post actions, a deploy-info.txt artifact for traceability, and workspace cleanup. You will leave with a production shaped pipeline that's versioned in Git and easy to evolve. So let's get started. So before I start this lecture, what I will do is I will go to my GitHub notes and I want to show you the prerequisites for this lecture. I will open this one and then I'll go to day 6. I will use the table of contents to go to prerequisites. I will zoom in a little. See, this is day 6 where we are upgrading the project that we did in day 5, and that project was done using a freestyle job, and today we are upgrading the same job into a Jenkins pipeline. Hence, I would urge you to do watch day 5 to get that understanding. And apart from that, we also looked into Docker outside of Docker and compared it with DIND, that is Docker in Docker. So this day 5 can be seen as a CICD project that will take you from basics to production. So I would recommend you watch day 5, and once you have done that, let's get started with day 6. Now, before I start this one, I want to take you to my diagrams and show you what we are going to build so that it develops your interest from the word go. So this is what we are going to deploy. You see Jenkins at the very top. Jenkins is our orchestrator. I wanted this project to be production grade. So here we'll be leveraging a private Git repo. This private repo will be hosting our source code and the Docker file. Then we will be building a container image using Docker build. After that, we will push the build image to our image registry or container registry, which will be Docker Hub. Next, we'll be deploying our container image onto a Docker host. And finally, we are going to test our application. And this is called a smoke test. Smoke test typically mean that you check whether the website is accessible and may check the most basic functionality. So in our scenario, we will just be trying to access our website from the browser. So all these steps we'll be doing via Jenkins pipeline. I want you to know that there are certain steps which will warrant us to use credentials, because if you're trying to access something external, something private, you will have to supply credentials. In this pipeline, we'll have to provide the credentials for the Git repository, and our Git repository is hosted in the Git host named GitHub. And then we'll need credentials to push the container image that we'll build out of the Docker file that's in our private repository. We'll have to push that, and for that as well, we'll require credentials for Docker Hub for the account cloud with Varjosh. So we will do all these things. So let's get started. So I'll take you straight to the Jenkins console, that is localhost 8080. I'll go here. I will click on new item, and here I'm going to name my job Flask Pipeline. And once I do that, I'll click on pipeline and I will click on OK. Understand that we were working with a freestyle project until now, but today we are going to discuss the pipeline. Hence, the item, the job that I am creating is of type pipeline. I'll click on OK, and you see something similar like we saw in freestyle job. We have these, then we have triggers, and then we have the interesting part. We have the pipeline. Define your pipeline using Groovy directly or pull it from source control. So what it is trying to tell you is, when you are writing a pipeline, you have two options. You can either write your entire pipeline in here in this screen, or you can pull that pipeline, or you can pull that pipeline script from SCM. Now in production implementations, you would always be using pipeline script from SCM. You will not be writing your pipelines here. But since we are just learning to walk right now, not run, we will start with pipeline script, and then we will convert the same script into SCM. It's just a click, nothing more, I promise. Now that we have this basic understanding, let's try to learn the pipeline syntax. Now for that, I will take you to Visual Studio Code so that we have proper color coding while we practice this. I'll right click here, new file, and I'm going to call this file Jenkinsfile. And why I'm naming this way, at least as of now, is so that I get proper color coding. Now you could name this anything for practicing, but as we progress with this lecture, you will understand what is the significance of naming something Jenkinsfile. With that understanding, let's write our first pipeline. I will start with pipeline. This is the top level block. I'll zoom in a little. This is a top level block that you will always see at the very top. I'll hit one space and then I will add a curly brace. I want you to concentrate on the color coding of the curly braces. Right now the curly braces are white, which implies they are associated with the pipeline block. Next I will write agent any. Now understand, when you are running a Jenkins job, your job must be executed somewhere, and in Jenkins architecture, jobs are executed by agents. And here I'm saying use any available agent. More on this in a little while. Now then I have to add what we want to do. So if I take you back to the diagrams, what you see here is we are performing all these steps, and all these steps can be thought of as stages. There is a checkout stage, there is a build stage, push stage, deploy stage, and test stage. Similarly, when you are writing pipeline, understand all of these things will happen under the pipeline. So it makes sense to have those things inside the pipeline block. But you can have that inside the pipeline block, but at a very high level, what are these things? These things are stages, and this is stage 1, stage 2, and so on. So what I will write next is I will just write stages here, and I will again open a curly brace. And as soon as I did that, you see there is a color coding. It is pink. It tells me anything within the stages block must be contained within this pink curly braces. I will press enter, and then inside stages I will have to mention what all stages are there in my stages section. What is my stage 1, what is my stage 2, and so on. So what I'll write here is stage. I will open a parenthesis, and then I will write checkout, because my first stage is checkout. If I go here, this is my first stage. Now that I have added my first stage, there would be certain steps that I need to perform within that stage. So if something is within this stage, then I will have to define that something here. So what I will do is I will come here and I will add a curly brace again and I will press enter. Now what is inside this stage? Inside this stage there are certain steps that I need to perform. So as the name implies, I will just write steps here, and inside the steps block there will be steps. So I will have to again start a curly brace and press enter, and then I will write what is the step that I need to perform. So for now, let's just write echo checking out from private repo, and I'll close the single quotes. So the crux is, this is the pipeline curly brace, it ends here. Then there is a stages curly brace, it ends here. Then there is a stage curly brace that ends here. Then there is a steps curly brace that ends here. So try to create that mental picture. There is pipelines at the very top. Then in the pipeline you will have multiple stages, and within those stages you will have your steps. So as long as you understand the foundational concepts, these things are a cakewalk for you. Now understand that whatever that we are doing is being done inside a pipeline. Hence, you will see anything that we do will be written within the pipeline block. And I want to tell you one more thing at this stage itself, because I know you will understand that. So I will go here. I quickly want to show you. Yeah. So here is the pipeline block, required top level block. And right now we have mentioned agent is any. So any as in any available node. Understand, in our architecture right now, there is, as we have discussed before, there is a control plane in Jenkins, and then there is a data plane. Control plane is essentially the controller, and it is the controller where you create jobs, and then controller will ask different agents or different data plane nodes to take action and execute those jobs. So jobs are created in the controller and they are supposed to be executed in the agents. Now, and we have discussed this before, okay? If you are not understanding this, watch the past lectures. In our architecture, the control plane and data plane is consolidated. So we have a single Jenkins container that is doing everything for us, both the controller part and also the executor part. Hence, I have written agent any, and this will pick up any available agent, and that available agent is our Jenkins controller itself. So if I go here, if you see this second bullet, I have mentioned what is the agent label Docker. Now understand, in an architecture where you have multiple agents, how do you call the agent that is supposed to perform Docker related task? You add labels to your agents, and we'll see this later as we progress with this course. But for now, understand that you can have multiple agents and those agents will have labels associated with it. And why do we need labels? For example, if I'm executing a pipeline that requires Docker installed, then I will use an agent that has Docker installed. If I'm running a Maven related build for Java, then I will choose an agent that has a label Maven so that my job can be executed in that agent, because that agent has all the prerequisites that are required by my Maven job. As simple as that. So what I will now do is I will get back to our pipeline, the code of our pipeline. I will copy this thing. I will take you back to the browser, and then let's go to our job, and here I will paste whatever we have written, right? And then I will save this, and you see something different here. This time you have a stages section as well, and stages is what we call these things. All these steps that we have performed here, these can be thought of as stages, and whatever you define in the stages section within your Jenkins pipeline will be displayed as stages on this screen. And how cool is that? You can see whatever you have done in that stages console. So let me first build this job so that I see the stages being populated. So it is here now. Let's go to stages. The first build is successful. I will click on stages and you see how good this output is. It is saying number one build. This only had one stage, which was checkout. It started here, it ended here. Only one stage was there, which was checkout, and that stage was successful, which is why you see a green tick here. And if I click on this green tick, it will take me to the part where we executed something. And here we executed checkout from private repository. We just echoed this, hence you only see this step. So here is the stage and here are the steps. Now understand, as you increase your stages, all of these will be displayed here, and when you click on that stage, you can see the steps right here. You can see what failed, you can see what was done as part of that stage. So I really like this screen. This gives me a very good view of my entire pipeline. And rest of the things are pretty basic, like we have seen before. If I click here, I can go to console output and see that this job was running in a node Jenkins, and then it was finished successfully. And this is what we echoed, checking out from private repository. Now that we have this basic understanding, we understand what the syntax looks like, let's go and add a few more stages. Understand that if I look at it, this is stage and this stage has steps. This stage ended here. Understand that here is the stage, is the cyan curly brace, and this cyan curly brace ended here. And whatever stage you create must be created within the stages block. That is understandable. So whatever stage you create, as long as they are inside the stages block, you are good. So I will copy this stage and then I will add this stage here. This is stage 2, stage 3, stage 4, stage 5. As simple as that. But I will have to name my stages properly. This stage I will call build. This stage I will call push. And then next we are calling deploy. And after deploy, we will have test. We have test here. And now let's also update these. I will write this is the build step. I'll add an exclamation mark for effects. I will copy this. I will add this here, here, and also here. And then I will write this is the push step. This is the deploy step. And this is the test step. So now we have a pipeline that has 5 stages, and let me zoom out a little so that you can see everything at one place. So we have this pipeline which has 5 stages, and I'm telling you ultra honestly, if you have understood this structure, you have understood pipelines. There is nothing more, I promise. Rest, when we add the steps that we want to add, those are just commands and we'll walk them step by step. So if you've understood this, you are good with Jenkins pipeline. I will copy this and then I will again go back there. I will go to this job. I will click on configure and here I will paste whatever I have. I will click on save and I will build it now. The job has completed successfully, but this time the stages would look pretty nice. You see, build number 1 is here, build number 2 is here, and this is our build 2. So if I click here, it will take me to this awesome view. I can see all my stages. If I want to see what happened in which stage, I just click on that stage and it will tell me this is the build step. Push, this is the push step. Deploy, this is the deploy step, and so on. This is super cool. And then I will go here and I'll show you the console output, and this is also what is expected. Now we have this understanding. So let's start with making this pipeline, really awesome at what it does. So I'll go to Jenkins basics to production repository. I will go to day 5 because day 5 has the commands that we ran the last time. So I want to use the same commands because we are doing the same thing. We are just doing it with the pipeline. And I also want to explain you the application that we are deploying once more, so that if someone is watching only this lecture, they have this understanding. So first I will copy this quickly, and then I will go to Visual Studio Code. I will just create a new file here and I will call it test.yaml. I have the YAML extension so that the cosmetics are good, nothing else. I'll just paste it here, and then I will right click on it and I'll write split to write. But before that, I wanted to explain the code that we have with us. Just give me a moment. And if let's rename it to something else. Okay, just test, because I don't like this red. Anyway, so now let's understand what is happening in our code. So for anyone who does not know what we are deploying, so this is app.py. In app.py, we are just creating a simple application, Python application that uses the Flask framework. And then what we are doing here is we are just saying welcome to cloud with Varjosh, built with Flask, shipped with Jenkins, running in Docker. And our application, once deployed, will be listening on port 5000. Understand that I have coded my application to listen on port 5000. Then I want to show you the Docker file. In the Docker file, I'm saying use the Python 3.11 slim image. Then I'm saying working directory is /app. This implies that whatever commands I'm going to run next, all those commands must be run in this app directory. This becomes the working directory. Then I'm copying requirements.txt. What is inside requirements.txt is the information of all the packages that are required by my application. So if I go to requirements.txt, I just have Flask and I'm mentioning the version for it. Flask, because Flask is a web framework in Python which is used by web applications. I'll go to Dockerfile again, and here I'm copying the requirements.txt file. I'm copying it in the working directory, which is this one. Then I'm saying run pip install -r requirements.txt. Now understand that I am saying here you want to use requirement.txt to install the packages, and I'm mentioning here no cache dir. This signifies that whatever download logs or whatever anything else apart from the Flask framework that is generated, you just discard that. And why I'm discarding that? Because we want our container images to be as small as possible, which is why I'm mentioning no cache dir. Pip, as we know, is a package manager for Python. Then we are copying our code app.py, which is here, into our /app directory. Then we are just mentioning this for documentation purposes. This won't actually make our application listen on port 5000. We are saying expose 5000 so that DevOps admins would know when they look at the Docker file that this application, yeah, it listens on port 5000. Then we are finally running our Python application by providing a command instruction python app.py. App.py is the name of our file that has the code. This is a simple code that we are deploying. So I'll just close this and let's start building our Docker file. Here I will go to view and I will just quickly word wrap this so that we can see everything. Now, first step is checkout. Understand that we will have to provide some credentials for this pipeline to check out our code. So how do we provide credentials? So let's go to our browser and then go to our Jenkins console. I'll go to this job and see what I am doing. There is a pipeline syntax here. I'm right clicking on it and I'll click on open link in new tab. I'll go here, and this is a very cool place to be. This will help you generate certain things that you want in your pipeline. And we will explore this as we progress, but you see, you can generate so many things. As we progress with this lecture, we'll be using a lot of these. And let's start this by using git. We are providing the credentials for git, which is why I'm using this. Now, why is this useful? So anything that you want your pipeline to do, you can have certain automated ways via which you can embed those things into your Jenkins pipeline. And this is one way. The snippet generator will help you learn the pipeline script code, which can be used to define various steps. And in this step, what we would want to do is we would want to perform a git checkout, which is why we are here to generate the pipeline script for that. So here it is saying what is your repository URL. So I will go here, I will go at the very top, and here I want to go to cloud with varjosh. I already have a private repository created from the past lecture. If you do not know how to do that, watch the previous lecture. Otherwise, just open your private repo, and this is my private repository. It already has the Dockerfile app.py requirements.txt. Okay, I will click here, I will get the URL, I'll copy this, and then I will come here, I will paste this URL. The branch I want is main. Okay, and since it is a private repository, it is giving this because I've not yet provided the credentials. So I will come here, I already have added the credentials for GitHub. If you do not know how to do that, go to the previous lecture and watch that. We created a personal access token known as PAT and then added those credentials in our Jenkins GUI. So watch that lecture and do that. So here I will choose this cloud with varjosh -github and then include polling. Understand that we are not polling any repository right now. We'll be manually running this job. So for now, I will just unselect this, and then you see include in changelog. So when changelog is true, Jenkins records the SCM changes, any changes that you do between this build's checkout and the previous build checkouts for that job. So I would recommend you to check this so that you have all the changes with you. And then I will simply click on generate pipeline script. It has generated the script for me. I just have to copy it from here, and I will go to my Visual Studio Code, and within the step I will remove this echo and I will add that step. And then for just cosmetics, what I will do is I will bring this URL down so that we can see everything at one place. I will just make it a little bigger, this one, and you see git branch main credentials ID is this, and then poll is false like we supplied, and the URL of the repository is this. So understand, in the previous lecture, if we were writing any shell scripts to do that, with pipeline we are just using this to provide the details about our private repository. And I'll also go to view and word wrap this so that we can see everything at one place. Now that we have done this, let's add the build step. Now what were we doing in the build step? We were building our container image. So what I will do is, here is the command that we use to build our container image, this one. So what I will do is I will copy this command and I will simply paste it here. What I will also do is I will add sh here, and then I will close this single quote. But Varun, what is this sh? Now sh tells Jenkins to run a shell command on the agent. So it is asking the agent that whatever I am giving in this step, you have to execute that using a shell. Understand, when we were doing the freestyle job, the commands that we were writing were already in the block that was named execute shell. So the agent was automatically executing those commands in the shell. But here this is the pipeline syntax. We have to explicitly tell the pipeline syntax that whatever I'm typing now must be executed in shell. That is why we have added sh. Now, pipeline also has many built-in steps. What are built-in steps? These are built-in steps. Hence here we did not have to invoke any shell. Understand that you could perform these things using shell as well. You could provide the credentials using shell, but we do not want to do that for things that are built into Jenkins, and hence we have used the thing that is built into Jenkins in this step. So I will summarize this. sh tells Jenkins to run a shell on the agent. Pipeline has many built-in steps like get archive artifacts. We'll see all these as we progress. There is with credentials, but when you need to run a CLI like Docker, you use sh. Now understand, if this were Windows, you would be using bat or PowerShell, not sh. I hope this is understood. But another thing that is worrying me right now is image, tag. All these are variables. Where are the values for these variables? We will provide them, but for now, let's see what we want to do in the push step. Now in the push step, we have Docker push this and this. I will copy this. I will come here in the push step. I will paste these here and I will make this cosmetically fine. And I will add sh here, single quote. Then here I will write sh, single quote. So now we understand what we are doing here. We are pushing the image and we have to pick these values from somewhere, and that somewhere we'll define shortly. Let's go to the deploy step. So what are we doing in the deploy step? These are the things. I will copy all of these, and then in the deploy stage, I will just paste those, right? And then I will move this here. I will also move this here, and then here I will write sh, single quote, sh, single quote, sh, single quote. And we discussed in the last lecture what these double pipes mean. These mean that only run this command if the first command fails. So we are doing this so that our pipeline does not fail if this does not succeed. Let's do one more thing. We have to define the environment variables. And where do we define that? There are two ways to do it. Here we are using our variables in three stages. We are using it in the build stage. You see image and tag here. We are using it in the push stage. You see image and tag here as well. And we are also using this in the deploy stage. So we have two options. Either I can define environment variables per stage, or I can define them for the entire pipeline. If I define it for the entire pipeline, then all the stages can use them. If I define it only within a stage, then only that stage will have access to those environment variables. But here, there are three stages that will require that environment variable. So let's define the environment variables at the pipeline level itself so that all the stages can consume them. So I will come here. I will add one more block, and this block is called environment. And this is the way you define environment variables. I'll start a curly brace as with all the steps we have seen in the past. I'll press enter, and within this environment block, I will be defining my environment variable. So what are my environment variables? These are my environment variables. I will paste them here, and then I will explain you what these are doing. And we discussed them in the previous lecture as well. So image is my Docker Hub account is cloud with varjosh, and there the repo name will be cloud with varjosh -flask. And what will be the tag? Tag will be the build number. So we are tagging our image with the build number. Now let's come to the last step. Last step is stage is test. What we want to do in the test stage, I just want to do this. So I will copy this and I will paste this here. And then let's come here and I will just move it here, and let's add a semicolon, and then here as well this is shell, right? So I will write this and then I will close this here. Now there is one more thing that we have to do. Here I have just written push, but where are the credentials? How will this push to Docker Hub if I do not provide the credentials in this stage? So let's provide the credentials now. So I will go to my browser, and previously we used the pipeline syntax for Git. This time I want to use it to generate credentials for my Docker Hub. So the sample step I wish to use is called withCredentials. Here is withCredentials. Bind credentials to variables. Understand, when we were working with the GUI in the freestyle job, we chose under the bindings section which credential we wish to use. So similarly here as well, you have withCredentials that are used to bind credentials to variables. What are the variables? We will see it in a little while. Here I'm saying withCredentials, bind credentials to variable. Bindings, I will add the binding, username and password separated, and we have seen this in the past. Here I will write Docker Hub underscore user is a variable that I want you to use, and then Docker Hub underscore pwd is the password. Credentials, both of these credentials belong to my Docker Hub account, so I can choose any. I'll choose this one, and that's it. I have entered the username variable is this, the password variable is this, the credentials that I want you to associate are these. I'll just click on generate pipeline. So it is saying withCredentials, username, password, Docker Hub, password variable, Docker Hub password, username variable, Docker Hub underscore user. Understand that this is the credential ID. So I will copy this and then I will go to my pipeline code. Here I will go under the steps, under the push step, because that is where we want our credentials to be. I will just paste that block here, and understand that whatever we are now performing, those things are to be performed within the withCredentials block, because both of these commands will be using the credentials that are here. Understand? Now there is one more step that I have to do, that is we'll see in a little while, but for now let's cut this from here and add it here, and it will make much more sense to you once I add that command as well. So I will come here, and if I scroll up, here is the logging command. So I will copy this to login. I will add this here, sh, and then let's bring them in one line. So now within the withCredentials block, I'm starting the withCredentials block with this dark pink, and then I'm closing it. This is purple, I believe. Anyway, so I'm starting this here and closing this here, and all the commands that are to be run within this withCredentials block are here. Now what we are doing, we have discussed this in the past lecture as well. We are echoing our Docker Hub password, and then we are using docker login -u. We are defining the variable. So this is the variable Docker Hub user, and then we have Docker Hub password, which is being picked from here, and then we are performing a Docker push. So what we are doing is we have tagged this image with two different tags. You can see here there is a latest tag, and then there is a tag that we have defined as environment variable. So we are doing these things. Now that's it. we are done with this. We don't have to do anything else. So if I copy this entire thing, okay, and I go here to my Jenkins console, I will go to my pipeline, I will go to configure, and then I'll paste that code here. And let's quickly see that we have everything. This is the tag, checkout stage, yes, build is this, push is this, we have the credentials here. For git as well, we have everything that we want here. We have also supplied the credentials id is this looks good. Push also looks good, deploy is also fine. And in the deploy stage, we are just first we are pulling the image, then we are removing if there is any existing container. Even if this command fails, we have true here, so that the next command will run. And next command is docker run this one. We are running a container in the background, and we know on which port our application is listening. And finally, we are doing the testing as well. So I'll save this, I will click on build now, and our job is running. And you can go to the console output and see where it failed. It has failed. So let's come down and see where did it fail. Push skipped due to earlier failure. Docker build -t. This latest. Docker not found. Why is this? Docker not found. Hold on. Let's go to our terminal. Docker exec -it. The container that I want to exec is Jenkins, and I want a bash there. And here if I write docker not found, but we have, oh, I recreated this container, so I did not install Docker CLI yet. So let me install that. So if you have performed the steps that were part of day 5, then you should be good. Otherwise, just follow along with me, whatever I'm doing. So I'll go here. I will go to cloud with varjosh here. Then I will go to Jenkins basics to production. Day 5, it's a simple step when you have documented everything. I will scroll down, and here is where I want to install Docker CLI. To install Docker CLI, I will have to run these commands. I will just copy them from here. I will go to my terminal and I'll paste that. Some troubleshooting, right? Failure writing output to destination. What destination? Oh, I'll have to do this as a root user. Hold on. I'll exit. And then here in this exec command, I will just add -u root. User is root I want to log in with. And then I can just paste the command. I'll press enter. And if you have any confusions about this, what we are doing, just watch the previous lecture, okay? Okay, Docker CLI is installed. What I will now do is I will exit from here, and then I will again exec, and then this time I will run Docker. Okay, so now Docker is installed. So let's go to our job again, and I will come here, and then let's come here and I'll click on build now. So it will start the build again. Let's click here and see the console output now. Okay, this looks good now. Things are working. It is pushing the Docker image. Let me also open hub.docker.com. Sign in. And here, less than a minute ago, you see, a push was just performed. So let me zoom in a little by our Jenkins. So I will go here, and then the job has finished successfully. I don't want to show you the logs from here. I want to go to the stages in pipeline. You see how good this is. It is saying that your third build failed, and if I click here, it will tell me what was the problem. It is giving the error right here, Docker not found, and we troubleshooted that. We understood that Docker CLI was not installed, which is why we are receiving this error. So if I go to push, deploy, test, these stages were not invoked. From build, the pipeline was directly ended. So this is a good thing to do. So here itself, I can go to build 2, build 3, build 4 is the one which was successful for us. Now, each step, whatever we asked Jenkins to do, all those steps were performed in each stage. So here you see the cloning was done. Then I moved to build. In build stage, our container image was built. If I go to the push stage, this is where our container image was pushed to our image registry, which was Docker Hub. And in this deploy step, we deployed a container, and you see this is the container ID. If I go to test, here you can see echo this, hit this to see the app. So if I right click on it, open link in new tab, voila, this is our application. Welcome to cloud with Varjosh, built with Flask, shipped with Jenkins, and running in Docker. So we have now gotten a very good understanding of the pipeline syntax and how do you do these kind of things using pipeline. Now, I do not want to finish this lecture here. I want to improve this pipeline further. So let's do that. Firstly, I'll go to the browser and then I'll go to this Flask pipeline. I'll click on configure. And this time what I want to do is I want to use pipeline script from SCM. And this time I want to use pipeline script from SCM. So I'll click here and you see the box where we were typing the pipeline just vanished, because we have now said that the file that you use for the pipeline is stored in SCM. And here it is saying, what is your source control? I'm saying my source control is git. Now it is asking me the URL. Understand that by default, what you will name your pipeline file is Jenkinsfile. Okay. So that is why in the script path, you see Jenkinsfile is populated by default. And let's keep it Jenkinsfile, and you will see most of the projects will do this. Now, if they have 3 different pipelines for dev, prod, stage, then they might name their files like Jenkins dev, Jenkins prod, and so on. But Jenkins file as a word is pretty much always there. And I'm not saying you cannot name it anything else. I'm just saying it's a good practice to keep Jenkins file. Now, if I move up, understand that there must be some repository where I'm storing this Jenkins file, right? And I again have 2 options here. Either I can store my Jenkins file in the same repository where my code and Docker file is, or I can host my Jenkins file in a different repository. Typically, you will host your Jenkins file with the application code itself, with your Docker file and the application code itself. So in this lecture, we are going to adhere to that strategy. So here it is asking me the repository URL. I will come here. I will copy this URL. I will first, let me close this, and then I will paste this URL here. The credentials that I wish to use for my GitHub are cloud with varjosh-github. And then this is fine. This is fine. This is fine. That's it. But Varun, where is the Jenkins file? Jenkins file we'll have to upload in the private repository, right? We are saying you, Jenkins, pick the Jenkins file from the GitHub repository. So now we'll have to create a Jenkins file and put that file in the repository so that when we initiate this build, Jenkins just picks that file from our source control and builds our project, right? So let's click on save here. This is now saved. Now let's start building our Jenkins file. Now conveniently, I have initially named this Jenkins file so that our job gets easier. Understand, we do not need a checkout stage now because, hello, we have defined whatever we had to define for checkout in the GUI. Remember, we defined all the things here. So let's just entirely remove this stage and understand this stage started with a cyan curly brace and finished with a cyan curly brace. So just look at the curly braces when you want to remove something so that you do not mess up your groovy syntax. So I will just remove this from here, and then the checkout stage is removed. We are starting from the build stage. Now there are certain improvements that we want to do in this pipeline, and I want to show you what those improvements are. The first is use pipeline script from SCM. We have already seen that. Now understand, you can always add post actions in your pipeline. What happens on success, what happens on a failure, and what happens if there is success or failure. You can define these things in post actions. So what I will now do is I will define certain post actions for my job as well. So what I will do this time is I will copy a certain section and I will paste that section. So I'll come down. So understand that we have to add the post actions. These are the stages. Stages started here and stages ended here. The pink curly brace, follow that. We have to define post actions. These post actions are for the pipeline itself. We are not defining these per stage. We are not defining this for any stage. We are defining it for the pipeline. Understand the distinction. Post actions in this lecture we are defining for the pipeline. Hence, I will have to define at the pipeline level. And what is the pipeline level? Pipeline level starts at this curly brace, the white curly brace. So whatever I am defining now should be within this white curly brace, not within the curly brace of stages. It must be in the curly brace of white of the pipeline. And hence, I will come here and I will paste that. And now what we are saying is, and this I have just changed the way it looks. Okay, it's the same thing. You can also do it like this. It's just I want you to be familiar of different ways you will see this pipeline. So what I'm saying is post actions, success echo build, this is succeeded, failure echo build, this failed, always echo build finished. This is as simple as that. Now you can have various post actions. You might want to send emails and so on. And as we progress, we will do those things. But for now, I just want you to know that you can have these post actions as well. So we have added this post action. Let's go to the diagrams and see what we want to do next. Generate a deploy-info.txt file and archive it. What is the significance of deploy-info.txt? I want you to know that whenever you are building something, you want certain information to be captured in a file, and maybe that file is used by a different tool or by Jenkins to deploy your artifacts. So for now, I will leave it here itself. In day 2's lecture, we understood that this file is generated and this is kept somewhere in the object storage or in the file storage, somewhere that Jenkins has access to it. And once Jenkins has access to it, Jenkins can pick the details from this file and deploy your infrastructure. We'll see how that works later, but for now, I just want you to understand the generation part and how this archiving works. So for now, what I will do is I will just copy this part and paste it. Just give me a moment. I'll go to my Jenkins file and I want this file to be part of the deploy stage. So what I will do is I'll copy it and then I will come here and then I will paste it. I've pasted a bunch of information. So this remains the same what we were doing. Okay, we have not changed anything here. What we have added is we have added this section, this. So what we are doing here is we are creating a file that is named deploy info and this build number, and we are saying that this file will have the build number, it will have the image name, it will have the commit ID, the branch, the time, and the URL. And then in the last step, we are saying that once this file is created, you archive this file, and I'll tell you what archiving means in a little while. But for now, see this archived artifact, this. I'll tell you how to generate this. For this as well, you just copy this name, whatever name you want the file to have, and then you go to pipeline syntax generator. Here I will go to the pipeline syntax generator. I will, and this is the sample step we wish to use, archive artifacts, files to archive. I will just put the file name here. I will go to advanced, and here I can fill in the details. For example, I want fingerprint all archived artifacts. So what this means is, I will tell you later, but when you want to deploy the same artifact across multiple stages, and we'll do that later in this course, then you can fingerprint all your archived artifact. And then I will simply click on generate pipeline syntax, and you see this has generated this for us. You just have to copy this and you paste it in your pipeline script, nothing more. It's as simple as that. Now Jenkins true tells Jenkins to compute and store a unique hash of fingerprint for the archived file, and that is what we have said using fingerprint true. And follow symlinks false. If you go here, you can read about it. By disabling this option, all symbolic links found in the workspace will be ignored, and it's all right for us to ignore that at this stage. Now let's see what is the final improvement that we want to do. Clean the workspace at the very end. And if I go to the pipeline syntax generator, I will just go here, and here I will search for clean workspace, delete workspace when build is done. I will click here, and here I can go to advanced, and it will show you what all you want to do. So clean this workspace when success, unstable, failure, not built, aborted. In any circumstance, we are saying just clean the workspace. I will click on generate pipeline script, and this is the only step that you have to do for this. So let's do one thing. If you remember, in the past lecture, in the freestyle job, we cleaned the workspace as well. So here too we will do that. So I will go to my Visual Studio Code, and I will come down, and I want to add one more stage at the very last, and that stage will be doing the cleanup for me. So I will come here, and then I'll come here, I will go here, and then I will add a stage. And in this stage, what I want to do is clean up, and I will close this. And then what are the steps for this stage? I will open a curly brace, I will write steps here, and then I will again open a curly brace, and this is where I want that step to be added. And I told you whatever is built in can be added directly, and that is what we have done. If I scroll up, with credentials, which was built in, I added that directly. I did not have to write any sh for that. So for this too, I have just added cleanup workspace, and once the cleanup is done, then we will run the post action. So I'll save this file. Now I will have to add this Jenkins file to my SCM. So I will go to my private repository here. It is day6. Oh, not day6. It is my private repository. I will go to add file, upload file, and then I will click on choose your file, and then here I can choose Jenkinsfile. I will choose this file. It is uploading that file here, and then commit changes. It will commit the file here. Now let's come to Jenkins and run our pipeline. So I will go to this Flask pipeline. I will click on build now. Oh, it has failed right away. Let's see the console output. Oh, pardon me. Let's go back. Let's see what the problem is. If I scroll down, I have this master selected, and we don't have a master branch. The branch that we have is main. So I will come here. I will just remove this. I'll I can leave it blank, it will pick any, or I can just write main here. I will save this and let's run it again. Oh, it has failed again. Column 9 stage. Oh, I have to add a space, I believe. Space I have not added. That's the magic of doing things live, right? I will go here. I'll have to first save it. Understand that I have to upload the file again with the changes. I could have done the changes here itself, but anyway, so I will upload the file again. I'll choose the file and this one is the file. And then I will click on commit changes. I'll come here, pipeline, build now. Oh, it has failed again. Stage cleanup. Hold on. I think there is something wrong with this. Oh, I think this does not matter having, space or no space. Stage. Oh, oh, oh. Oh, oh, oh. Did you get what the problem is? This part, the stage part, should have come after the cyan curly brace. Why? See, interesting. So you have stage test here, okay? Test stage started here. This cyan curly brace finished here. So I should have that stage here, right? So that was the problem. I did it wrong. Now understand, this is closing here. Then there is a cyan curly brace. This cyan curly brace, where does this belong to? This cyan curly brace belongs to this. Where is this pink curly brace? This pink curly brace belongs to the stages itself. So our this stage, the last stage that we added, the cleanup stage, must be in the stages itself. We messed up the curly braces the last time. I hope now it is corrected thoroughly. So I will go to this screen, add file, upload file, and then let's choose the Jenkins file. I'll commit my changes. Oh, what's wrong? I'll refresh. Processing your file. Jenkins file is here. This was committed now. Okay, so I will go to my pipeline now and then let's build it now. Okay, this time it is taking some time. So I'm hoping things are falling in place. So let's go here, go to console output. Okay, it has moved to this step, which implies things are steady. This console output we have already seen multiple times. I want to show you something different. Let's go to stages and let's see this live, or rather click on this and let's see what is happening. You can see all the logs here and you see it is moving step by step. Okay, the deploy stage has come. We are in the deploy stage. Archived artifact has failed. Now why has this failed? Doesn't match anything. No artifacts found that match the file pattern. Deploy configuration error. Why is this? We are picking the artifact from, oh, hold on, and here I have artifact is this, and here let's run this again, because this is deploy build number text doesn't match anything. How can you say it does not match anything? Let me quickly verify, because what I have done is day 6 has this actual file. Okay, and we are doing the same thing. I tested this in my lab and it worked just fine. But I don't have follow symlink here. And I have this in my... So first let me run this again and then we'll run it without that symlink thing. I don't think that will cause a problem, but I want to just check it. I'm running this again, and in the meantime, let's edit our Jenkins file to not have that thing. So I'll go to Jenkins file, I'll click on edit, and I'll not edit it until my pipeline has moved to a certain step. I go to stages, it's 9, the push is happening. So I will scroll down here and then I want to remove this thing. Fingerprint was true, fingerprint true, that's it. Let's see what is happening with the job. 9th one, the deploy failed. Archive artifact. Okay, this point is failing. So let me quickly commit these changes. And if this works, I'll have to see why this symlink part was causing the problem. I will now come again here, and then I will build now. I'll go to Flask Pipeline. I'll go to stages, push stage. And another thing I want to add is I could have run my pipeline from a, from a stage as well. So maybe if my file did not have a problem, but problem occurred somewhere else, I could start my pipeline from the push stage, from the deploy stage. So you have those options, and I'll show you once this build is done. Now we are at the deploy stage. Deploy info. Why is this happening? Maybe it's the double quotes. Let me add double quotes here. That's the only thing. And then let's try to run this again. It was the double quotes, man. I was using single quotes here. I had to use double quotes. And I'll add in a video ticker what was the actual problem, but at least at this time, double quotes fixed the problem for us. We were using single quotes before. So anyway, so the test has succeeded. The cleanup has happened, workspace cleanup, and post actions. You see all these things. Build 11 finished, build 11 succeeded. You do not see the failure notice because the build has not failed. So if I go to the previous build, build 10, in post actions, you would have build 10 failed, and of course the finished part. Now I wanted to show you that, right? If I go to, let's say, the latest build 12, 11 that has succeeded, you can rerun the pipeline from a certain stage. So restart from stage, and then you can supply from which stage you want to restart that build. So that is one thing that I wanted you to know. So if you come to status, you have this deploy info 11, and we named it to so that it also has the build number. So build 11 was successful. If I click here and zoom in, you will see all the build information. You see the first 7 digits of the commit ID. If I come here, if I go to this private repository, and then you see the commit ID 95, it starts with 95, ends with 33. So if I come here, it starts with 95 and ends with 33, the first 7 digits. So you see all the information that we added here is available. I want to show you one more thing. If I go to my terminal and I go to var Jenkins home, if I go to workspace and I press ls, you see there is a workspace for our Flask pipeline, but that workspace will be empty because we have performed a cleanup action as well. So if I press ls, you don't see anything in this workspace. Now let's do one thing. Let's go one step back and one more step back. If I hit ls, all our jobs get stored here in jobs directory. So if I go to this jobs directory, press ls, I go to cd, the name of our job was Flask pipeline. If I press ls again, I want to go to cd builds, and then ls, I want to go to cd 11. I want to go to the build number 11. If I press ls, I see an archive directory here, and if I go to this directory, you will see that this has the file that we just generated, cat deploy.file. Now why this is here under the archive directory? Because we archived this using this step here. We said that archive this file, which is why it was available for you. Understand, when you clean up the workspace, it is important before you do that, you make your files, you make your artifact available somewhere external where you can use them or store them for future use. Now I think if I go to my browser now, I go here and you see all of, and here was the fingerprint part that I was talking about. We said fingerprint is true, so you can view the fingerprint. If I come here, if I click here, it is telling me this is the fingerprint. The file has been used in the following places. Now understand, if this file is used again and again, the fingerprint will remain same, and you can track that history here. It is good for traceability. Now finally, let's do one thing. Let's access our URL. I'll go to 11 and then I will go to, no, let me go to stages, and then I want to go to post actions, and in post actions, not in post actions, I want to go to test, and in test I want to open this URL, and you see our app. Welcome to cloud with Varjosh, built with Flask, shipped with Jenkins, running in Docker. So I think that is all I wanted to cover. That wraps up day 6. You converted a working freestyle job into a pipeline, wired in secure credentials, produced an archived deploy metadata, and kept your workspace tidy with cleanup. You now have a repeatable Jenkins file foundation you can extend with parameters, conditionals, and parallel stages. Next time, we will iterate further with branch based logic and promotion patterns. If you have any questions, feel free to ask them in the comment section and I will reply. If this helped, do consider liking, sharing, and subscribing. It will mean a lot to me. Thank you very much.